Be careful what you pray for because you are always going to get it. It's never going to skip over you. Your prayer is going to come right to you, and you're always going to be given exactly what you ask for. And more importantly, you're going to be given what you pray for. And if you're praying for something you're actually not ready to receive or to have, unfortunately, you're still going to be attracted to the steps it takes to get there. And if you're attracted to the steps that it takes to get to that prayer, you're going to still get that prayer, whether you think you're not going towards it or not, because we're always being attracted to our next level of growth. We're always being attracted to our next level of change. And the reason why is because as humans, our bodies want to make us safer. Our minds are literally naturally programmed to keep us out of danger, keep us safe, and to help us navigate through life because we only have this one body and it's what actually gets us through the life, right? This vessel. And so when your mind is constantly in the thought of, I need to do everything in my power to make sure that we're constantly healing, constantly growing, constantly evolving, it does that mostly by getting you to your desires. Because when you desire something, it's been put on your heart by God, which is why you desire it. There's nothing wrong with desires. There's absolutely no such thing as a wrong desire, even if it seems shallow, even if it seems, minuscule, even if it seems small. There's no such thing as a wrong desire. So when you have a desire on your heart, and you're moving towards it because that is what your mind is going towards for your next level of healing, right? We've had desires our entire life, and you're probably on desire 15 trillion right now because you have lived your entire life desiring something. And in between each desire is the growth, is the healing, is the thing that gets you to that point, right? I talked about this in how my video called How the Subconscious Mind is Controlling Your Life and You Don't Even Know It. In that video, I explained that when you are working with your subconscious mind, you cannot outsmart your subconscious. And that's what this video is going to be about as well. And but it's going to be more so related to the prayer aspect of it. Because I just made another video about how to be humbly audacious, which I based on biblical principles because audacity is not a bad thing. And yeah, this was not the original video I wanted to make. I wanted to make a video titled specifically the reprogramming journey, myths, mistakes, and mind hacks for real change. I'm still going to make that video probably right after this one, but this was so on my heart because I've always prayed to be left alone. Always. I've always prayed to be left alone. I've always prayed for people to just like get out of my face, basically. It sounds crazy, but I know I'm not the only one, right? Because if I exist and I think it, there's at least a million other people who think that same thing. Whether they say it or not. That's not the point. The point is they still think it, right? I'm not just one special creature on the planet. There's multiple people like that. Which is why people are attracted to my YouTube channel because they are attracted to the same things that I think and they think those same things or resonate with those same things. And that's how you attract people to your page. I was also going to make another YouTube video specifically about why you should start a YouTube channel and actually post on it. Because if you are a person and you have beliefs, there are at least 100 other people that have your same beliefs. Now, how freaking cool would it be to start a channel, post weekly, talk about whatever you want to talk about, and blink your eyes, open your eyes up. 2 months later, you got 10 people that found your page, and now you have this small little group of just people that resonate with you. That is sounds like a dream, right? And so that's why I love this channel, because it's specifically for me and my thoughts. But anyways, and this video is not scripted. I don't have any like 3 points of how to get what you pray for. Like, this is a raw video that wasn't supposed to be made. So I don't know what's going to come out in this transmission, right? But you're always going to get what you pray for, because your body, your mind is always trying to push you towards healing, always trying to push you towards growing and advancing and evolving. And the way it does that for the most part is pushing you, molding you into who you need to be to get that next desire. So between desire A and desire B, you become a completely different person so that you can have that desire B, right? Because you can't get to where you are with what you're currently doing. And that's what I talked about in the subconscious mind video, where I talked about, or it was titled, How Your Subconscious Mind is Controlling You and You Don't Even Know It. That's what was in that video. And so the thing about prayers is when we pray for things, I've been praying for that, not praying, but desiring, which is the same thing, that since many years. And the thing about that is desires overlap as well. So you can have a desire in your finances, in your business, in your relationships, platonic and romantic, your diet, your health, your wellness, your mindset, your self-care. Like, you can have thousands of desires at the same time, but they're not all going to complete at the same time. So if you think about it as, I'm going to use a sheet of paper, all right? Like, there's like multiple timelines going on at the same time, and some desires take shorter than others, and some of them take longer. And so, like, kind of like this, right? So this is like a desire I had. These are all desires. Desire A, B, C, D, but see, they all started at the, oh, this is inverse. It's hard, but this is the, okay. They're starting at the same place, kind of, imagine starting at the same place, but they're all ending at different places because your desires literally overlap over your life. That's what makes your life, because there's constantly something changing. That's why we feel like we can never get a break. It's not that you're never getting a break, it's that you just never stop healing. If you wanted to get a break from life, you wouldn't have a life, because you're constantly going to be moving towards a new desire and always becoming a new person, always evolving, always healing to get to that next desire. So that's kind of how our life is mapped out. And going back to explain it, I've been having this desire for years, and I'm just now getting to the person that can receive that desire, when I've had like 1,000 other things physically manifest since then. So it's really funny that that's how it works, right? And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. It's like one of those things that you desire, and you completely forget that's what you wanted, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even realize I'm in the house that I manifested. Like, that's how that happens, because our desires overlap, and because you're constantly moving in life, you don't have time to sit and say, like, and focus on it, because life moves. Life moved. So you're not constantly worrying about it. And so that's what I also want to say about this, is that all strategies work. This is a perfect example of that, because just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it's not working. And everything works out. Like, everything. And you don't know how long it's going to take to work out, and that part really doesn't matter. But every prayer is going to be answered. Every single prayer, every single desire, every single outcome you want to see will be transpired. It will transpire for sure. And the beauty of it is when you get to that desire, you've changed as a person, and you may have felt really sad, depressed, like you didn't want that desire anymore by the time you got it. But because you actually took whatever timeline it gave you, like whichever timeline it gave you to give you this desire and to develop you, evolve you, and heal you to receive that thing, when you get to the desire, even if it's something that you don't necessarily want, something you pray for that you don't want, there's so much peace that comes with it. So, for instance, when it comes to me, I don't want to be too detailed, but I've just been praying to be left alone. And at this time in my life, I'm very much really being left alone. This coffee is really good. And I'm really, really, really being left alone. But I don't feel alone. I'm being left alone, but I feel better off being left alone than bothered. I am physically alone, but I feel the most supported that I've ever felt in my life because I've found support outside of what normal support is. Normal support is like friends, family, friends, immediate, and extended family, right? Your partner, things like that. But because I don't have any support system like that, I had to say, what makes me feel super lonely? What makes me feel super, super, like, why do I feel so lonely? This was like a year or a year and a half, maybe more than that ago. And I was just really exploring, like, my mentor at the time. I think I talked about this in a different video too, but my mentor at the time, he was talking to me about, like, why do you feel so lonely? Why do you feel so lonely? Why do you feel so lonely? And I'm like, why do I feel so lonely? I'm not even alone. And it's because I don't desire the human connection to not feel lonely because that is literally vanity. And I think I was coming to that healing point of understanding that it's vanity while letting go of the fact that all the people who you think care about you actually don't. Everyone thinks everybody thinks about themselves before they think about anyone else. I'm not going to speak for your parents. I'm just going to say in general, like your parents think about themselves before they think about you. And that's a hard concept to swallow if you're not going through that timeline to get to that desire. You're not healing through that idea because you don't understand that all loneliness comes from you. So you're thinking, oh, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my aunt, my uncle, my everybody is not talking to me. I'm so lonely. And you can externalize it, but really desires happen when you finally get to the part of healing, when you internalize it. You're like, actually, it's not that I'm necessarily lonely. It's just the fact that the normal sense of like the normal sense of people being around you does not satisfy you to not be lonely. And I wonder if that is the same thing for other people. Do you ever feel lonely when there's people around? And have you ever got to a point of your life where you feel the most supported when nobody is around? When you finally internalize the feeling of loneliness and you say, actually, I'm not lonely. I'm just using people on the outside, doing this and doing that to make me feel lonely, to really get these feelings of sadness and loneliness out. And this is what I mean. Like when you go on this timeline, I might just rename this video timeline, like the desire timeline. Like how desire, oh, how and this is what I love. about, this is what I love about doing raw transmission videos, because you end up developing, not you, but I end up developing the ideas of what I really want to say, and it just comes out more beautiful than I could have ever scripted. Um, but yeah, on this channel, it's mostly because I love, like currently, I love talking about these specific things that I'm overcoming. And as soon as I like get the thing, I come and talk about what the transformation looked like, so that if you're going through that same transformation, you can resonate with that. And before that desire gets too normal, I like to come here, talk about it with all the feelings I have of that in the midst of that transition. But yeah, so this video is more so about the timeline of desires. And that also means like be careful what you pray for, because you never know when that desire is going to happen. But not be careful as in don't pray for it. Be careful as in don't expect it to happen at a certain time, and do not expect these things to occur in the timeline of like what you want, or to come out to the exact thing that you want it to be. Like you see your desire as not being lonely as getting a relationship. You see your desire of like not wanting to be lonely as getting a best friend. And that's where I started a year and a half or some plus would change a year ago. And I was really thinking like, okay, to not be lonely, I got to manifest the best friend, this, that. And none of it actually satisfied. None of it actually satisfied that. So it's interesting. And also, when you make decisions that align with being left alone, and then you're actually left lonely, it can be triggering. But it's not triggering to hurt you. It literally triggers, you're like, oh, I got my desire. Like it triggers the like, now you get the gold star because you received the desire, instead of like the other way around. And that's just the most fun part for me. And yeah, so the timeline of desires is never gonna change based on you as a person, right? The only way, okay, so there's either you change your subconscious, or you do a QL, which is a quantum leap. That's the only two ways to change the desire timeline. Well, also time and intensity, right? But time and intensity goes under QL, right? So there's your subconscious mind. I like to call it the subcon. Hopefully that becomes a thing around here on this page, because I hate typing out the word subconscious. But there's your subconscious mind, and then there's like your quantum leap. So you can rewire your subcon, and then you can do time and intensity for your quantum leap, right? So the only way to change the timeline, right, to get you that desire faster, is to rewire your subconscious mind with time and intensity too. So you can, I have on my page, it is called the Dream Life Affirmation track, or Dream Life Affirmation video. It is a full example of something that I have on my website, where I make a dream life track for you, and you listen to it every single day. I send you a 10 to 15-minute video when you purchase, and that way you don't have to download a 8-hour video, right? An 8-hour overnight track. But I show you exactly how to loop it for free. And it's like a perfect method, actually, that I use for my own. So I have my own dream life affirmation track that I use. Mine's about 10 minutes and like some seconds. and I loop it in the day, in the night, whenever. And I don't use that one anymore. But that's what I used to rewire my subconscious brain. And that's basically like punching it with different ideas, punching it with possibilities. The other thing is the outside of the mind, this is like the physical, which is the quantum leap that you can do with time and intensity. A quantum leap was so confusing to me. I'm like, how do you quantum leap? How do you quantum leap? How do you quantum leap? You quantum leap by making decisions. I'm gonna let that sink in just for a little bit. You quantum leap by making decisions. So if you are like, how do I quantum leap? I should make a separate video on like the steps to quantum leap because I do it all the time. And I was so confused about it, but now I do it all the time. So how to quantum leap is you pick a desire and then you write down all the ways you can get to it, get to that desire. And you pick one of those things and you do it. And then you do the next one. And you keep doing every single one of those things. But it's likely going to work on the first one that you choose. But keep in mind, like use your mind to say, okay, I'm going to do all these things because it takes the pressure off of it working for the first thing, but it will probably work for the first thing. And you go through all those things. And instead of you taking a year to make a decision, you take a week or a day or a few minutes, right? I had a desire that lasted for almost 5 years, and it was a 15-minute decision. Do you know what 15 minutes is literally? How many 15 minutes are there in 5 years? I could have done it 1,000 times over, but that's just the route that I chose. I chose the time route instead of the intensity route. So write down all the things you want to do to get that one desire, what you think will get you there, and do them. I want to make an entire video kind of explaining that. If you have any questions about the quantum leap, I'm actually gonna let the comments on this video kind of stack up a little bit, and then I'll make a quantum leap video when you guys have like 4 or 5 different questions under this one. I want to make it nice and juicy and do a one and done video and maybe update it in like 1 or 2 years. But that is literally how your desire timeline works.